tell us some sort of memorable moments that have stuck out?
Where do I start?
Right.
It is hilarious, I have to say. Now, obviously, we are saying this is a program about food and about etiquette and about creating dinner parties.
And you're in charge of the etiquette part.
Well,
obviously.
yeah, Corbin, obviously, being, you know, he's been a chef for, what, 13 years and odd now, and I'd say that his credentials are somewhat better than mine, to be perfectly truthful. I do etiquette, but of course the problem is with etiquette, you can't be too stuffy about dinner parties that you're having in people's homes. However, I think there's basic manners, and it's not just etiquette about the obvious things about, you know, where you put your knife and fork and, you know, where you lay your napkin. I think good manners, and I am surprised at people's manners at dinner parties. Oh. We've had some howlers, real howlers.
Can you give us
people bringing their own booze and keeping it in their handbag and thinking that we're not watching, which of course we are.
And drinking the whole bottle.
And drinking the whole bottle throughout the duration of the and we are watching this. So although we say this is about food and it's about etiquette, dinner parties, it's actually about being nosy and finding out what people are really like in other people's homes and people who forget that they're on camera, and this sort of the way that people behave with each other, and it is fascinating and it's hilarious. And I have to say that Corbin and I, on many occasions, and thankfully I'm leaving the country at the end of this, we're a little bit rude, cheeky, shall we say?
Yes, cheeky and honest.
Cheeky, rude and honest about the way that some people portray themselves.
Right. Is there an incident that sticks out in your mind?
Oh my goodness me. Well, I can tell you we did have somebody, well, we've had a few, that have been really bad losers. You know, this is 6 people, 3 couples. 2 people are going to lose, 1 person's going to win.
That's the nature of the show.
That's why it's a competition. But it's not good to be a bad loser. Whatever you think inside, keep it to yourself.
Bad etiquette.
We've had one lady who was a terrible loser, and she literally threw her toys out of the pram when she found out she'd lost because she thought she'd done the best dinner party. She hadn't. It was not very good.
Right.
And she was in a terrible state. And we thought, did she forget we have cameras on her?
Oh, I guess she did momentarily.
Obviously.
So she sort of lost it.
She completely lost it. No, she didn't like us at all.
Oh no, what, screaming? And...
Yeah, she was screaming and shouting.
Yikes.
All sorts
Did you
of
have
things.
to call in security?
Really, she cried and she threw all her toys out. She'd thrown a beach party and she thought it should have won. And you know, you can't serve things on paper plates and think you're going to win a competition like this.
For a dinner party.
For a dinner party.
Wow. I wanted to ask you, has the etiquette been in Canada? Have you been surprised at people's behavior?
I don't think it's Canada. I think it would be exactly the same if it was in England. I think it's, you know, or America. I don't think there's any difference whatsoever. It's just that people, sometimes, I tell you what I think happens is that people try too hard. And I think if I'm being serious about it now and saying, you know, what are the things that people get wrong? They spend a massive amount of time worrying about the food and they forget everything else to do with the dinner party. Right. And this is also a competition. And what they do is, so they've concentrated on the food, especially the ladies, they feel like forgotten themselves. The whole hosting a dinner party is about making sure, yes, you've got great food. That's lovely, you know, and it's not rocket science. But also timing. People run out of time. They don't prepare. Right. There are things they could have done the night before, which they don't. It's all in the preparation,
so
and it's all in the execution.
Like front
and all they think about is, well, what are we going to feed everybody on? And they forget about setting their table. They forget about greeting their guests. They forget about looking nice themselves. They forget all of those things, which are, I would say, although if Corbin was here, he might argue with me on this one, but they're equally as important.
Right. Well, he is a chef, so
of course he would say that. But
do you doc, like, you're an etiquette expert. First, how does one become an etiquette expert?
I don't know. I don't think I am one. I just I've just learned a lot along the way.
Right, right. But do you dock marks for like having the fork and the knife on the wrong side?
Yeah, there's only one person who actually did manage to get their knife and fork on the wrong side.
Okay.
Which I didn't think in this day and age, dealing with adults, that was humanly possible, but it was. And I also dock points for being a bad guest at somebody else's party. In fact, one lady definitely lost points because she was absolutely rude at somebody else's dinner party because of a few things that she didn't like. Now, if you don't like something, there's a way of dealing with it, but you don't have to make the host feel awkward and everybody else feel awkward. You know, there's just a way of dealing with these things. It's like in life, isn't it? When everything's going right, it's a breeze. It's when things go wrong, it's how do I deal with it now?
And that makes for great TV too.
Of course, absolutely. I mean, we have got a corker of a show here. We really have.
A corker of a show means what?
Is that a? Oh.
Like,
it's a corker of a show.
Like, fabulous.
It's a blast of a show.
Is there anything I didn't ask you wanted to tell me?
No, I don't think so. Apart from the fact that I never realised that Toronto got so hot in the summer.
This is not normal.
It's so hot, and I have curly hair, and it gets curlier and curlier and curlier the hotter and more humid it gets. But no, I'm glad you like my shoes because that's most important.
Shoes.
I think a girl on a good hair day with the right pair of shoes can rule the world.
And on that, we should just end the interview right there. Thank
you
so much,
very
Anthea.
much. Thank you.